book, you shared your 9-year-old daughter being diagnosed with an incurable illness. You described watching her suffer with no clear medical answers. In the process, in the middle of this helplessness, where did you find the strength to keep going? Would you share this story with us?
You ask great questions. Now, this was one of the worst chapters in my life, but Jesus used it to show his power and compassion, perhaps more than anything else I've experienced. So it happened almost 20 years ago, but it is still as real as if it happened yesterday. We were frantically preparing to move to China when our 9-year-old daughter, for privacy, she's asked me not to use her name, was running in a school game and jerked sideways to avoid hitting someone. At first, it seemed like she had sprained her lower leg, but as the weeks went by, it did not get any better. She couldn't bend her knee without severe pain, and just lightly touching the top of her foot was very painful. We took her to 3 or 4 doctors, and they all said the same thing. It was a sprained foot. Do you have anything you really regret? Something you would do differently if you had the chance to do it over again? Well, in the midst of the busyness of getting ready to move to China, I thought my daughter was exaggerating just to get attention. So while of course I took care of her physical needs, I did not give her much sympathy. Night after night, she would complain that her foot really hurt. But with everything else going on, I didn't pay much attention. I prayed with her and sent her to bed with an antihistamine to help her sleep. And there she lay, afraid and alone in the darkness, in pain with no idea what was happening to her. It's still really hard to think about this without getting emotional, that I didn't believe her and comfort her more. So when we boarded the plane to China 3 months after her injury, she was still on crutches. As they pushed her through the airport in a wheelchair, I was still telling myself it was a sprain and would get better, but there had been no improvement since the day it happened. So we rented an apartment in China on the 6th floor with no elevator and assumed she would soon be able to walk again. So she needed to go up and down 6 flights of stairs on crutches every day to attend her new school, where she was the new student with a handicap. After a few more weeks, we began to wonder if we were dealing with something more than a sprain. A doctor with a clinic in our city observed some symptoms the other doctors had missed and suggested she may have a serious complication. So we were going to a gathering in Thailand in 2 weeks, so he advised us to take her to a world-renowned hospital in Bangkok beforehand. Bone scans and blood tests at the hospital confirmed what the doctors suspected. She had reflex sympathetic dystrophy syndrome. And this is a nerve injury where the nerves stop listening to your brain and they send constant, intense pain as if the injury just happened. The nerves also cut off circulation, so that body part is not usable. We were told there is no known cure, but sometimes forcing the leg to bend each day, which would produce extreme pain, helps. But if you do it too strongly, it makes the condition worse. And I read that some people never recover and live with this pain the rest of their lives. So looking into the face of my formerly active 9-year-old daughter, sitting in a wheelchair, looking fragile, sad, and confused, and knowing I was powerless to do anything to cure her of this terrible disease, and she may never walk again or live a normal life, was indescribably heartbreaking. I've never known such a sense of helplessness and despair before or since. I also felt a great deal of guilt and self-condemnation, realizing I had minimized her pain for 4 months when she really did have a serious illness. But I would soon discover that the God of miracles is not limited by our human mistakes or incorrect judgments. So tears streamed down my face as we boarded our flight to attend a Christian gathering. We dropped our daughter off at childcare for the first meeting, then proceeded to the auditorium. When we entered the meeting room with many other Christians, I was struck by the powerful sense of God's presence in the room. The air was electric. The speaker's message was exactly what my despairing heart needed to be reminded of, the compassion of God. As the speaker described how God feels all our pain and weeps with us, it was as if my loving Heavenly Father was speaking directly to me. He invited me to take my mind off of blaming myself and onto his deep compassion for my daughter and for me. He took my mind off my helplessness and onto his overwhelming power to do anything. At the end of the message, the speaker invited anyone who needed prayer to come into the front. I sensed that what I couldn't do, God wanted to do and was more than able to do. And we were supposed to pray for our daughter's healing. So a few friends gathered around us in the auditorium, and we asked our compassionate Heavenly Father to heal her leg. When we picked her up at childcare, Peter noticed she was sitting with her knee bent, something she had not been able to do since the injury. And he said to her, "We prayed for you this evening." She asked him, "What time?" And we discovered that the exact time we prayed for her, the pain left. She was not with us in the auditorium and not even nearby, since childcare was quite a distance from us, and she didn't even know we were praying for her. But Jesus touched her and healed her in an instant. She laid her crutches aside and began effortlessly going up and down the stairs for the first time in 4 months. We were amazed. We warned her to take it easy because we still didn't believe she was completely healed. But it soon sank in that our compassionate Father really can and does do the impossible. He does not always heal us physically, but he always feels our despair and answers as he knows is best. Sometimes the greatest miracle he works in our hearts, where he gives us peace and strength in spite of difficult circumstances and gives us the privilege of knowing him better. Our daughter is 28 now. She played basketball and soccer in high school and jogs from time to time. I've asked her to forgive me, but to be honest, I'm still in the process of forgiving myself. We each have limited knowledge and we do the best we can, but even our best is less than perfect. It's actually our imperfections that reveal Jesus' power is greater than any of our weaknesses or mistakes. We are never helpless or alone when we pour out our hearts to Jesus and plead with him to bring his power into our trials. As I look back, I realize that in anything I deal with, I can exchange my lack of power for his power. What an incredible exchange.